It's Chris, back with today's latest cybersecurity topic. Grab a coffee, settle in, and let's talk about a piece of technology that's been guarding networks since the dial-up days, yet still manages to trip up even the most modern organizations: the perimeter firewall. Picture your network as a bustling airport. You have passengers, packets, moving in and out, each with a destination and a purpose. The perimeter firewall is the security checkpoint at the terminal doors. It doesn't care how nice a passenger looks or how politely they wave. It checks IDs, scans luggage, and decides who gets through and who's sent home. Many people assume that in our shiny, zero-trust world, we've outgrown that checkpoint. The truth is, we've merely changed where it stands. Whether it's a physical appliance in a rack, a virtual instance in the cloud, or a firewall as a service node, the concept is exactly the same. Inspect first, trust later. So, what does inspect mean in 2025? The first generation firewalls of the 1990s were glorified traffic cops with flip books, source IP, destination IP, port, protocol, allow or deny. Today's next generation gear is more like a forensics team with X-ray goggles. It tracks state. Is this packet part of a legitimate conversation or a lone wanderer trying doors? It peeks at encrypted sessions, decrypting where policy allows, to hunt for malware hiding inside shiny TLS wrappers. It fingerprints applications, so it can tell the difference between legitimate traffic and a cleverly disguised data exfiltration tool riding the same port. Some models even sprinkle in machine learning, watching for traffic that just feels different from your normal Tuesday afternoon. Now, why do companies keep stumbling? Because the firewall is only as good as the policy human beings write, and humans love shortcuts. I can't count how many assessments start with me scrolling to the bottom of a rule set and finding the infamous any permit rule, the digital equivalent of leaving the back gate unlatched because the delivery guy kept complaining. Another classic is the temporary VPN exception that never got removed after the contractor left 6 months ago, still exposing a portal secured by a pre-shared key that an undergraduate could brute force in an afternoon. Let Brand ground this in a quick story. A mid-size manufacturer asked my team to investigate a weird spike in outbound traffic. Their fancy SOC tools were throwing vague anomaly alerts, but nothing concrete. We pulled the firewall logs, which fortunately they hadn't disabled, and saw repeated connections from the payroll server to an IP block in Eastern Europe. Digging deeper, we realized an allow all HTTPS rule had been added the night of a rushed software upgrade. Attackers had slipped in 3 weeks later, exfiltrating salary data through innocuous port 443. The kicker? That rule made perfect sense to the admin at 2 in the morning. I just need it to work, but it opened a tunnel wide enough to drive a ransomware gang through. Lesson: every rule you write at midnight deserves a daylight review. How do we keep our checkpoints strong without turning them into a bureaucratic nightmare? Start with clarity. Every rule should answer 3 questions you can say out loud. Who is talking? To or from where? And for what purpose? If you can't justify all 3 in one sentence, say, the finance subnet may reach the tax filing API over HTTPS to send quarterly reports, then the rule is fluff and needs rework. Second, treat the firewall configuration like source code. Export it, store it in Git, and run diffs weekly. When someone adds a rule just for testing, the change shows up in the commit log, and you can schedule a cleanup before it becomes fossilized. Many modern firewalls let you tag rules with expiration dates tied to a ticket number. Use that. Nothing feels better than watching a risky permit rule disappear automatically once the maintenance window closes. Third, embrace decryption where regulations allow. 70% of malware today hides in encrypted traffic. If your firewall can open the box, it has to guess what's inside. Yes, you should carve out privacy-sensitive categories: online banking, healthcare portals, but for routine corporate SaaS, crack it open, inspect, and then re-encrypt. Your users won't notice the microseconds of latency, but you'll catch the Trojan horse before it trots past the gate. Fourth, keep your management interface in its own little castle. I still see firewalls with web admin portals exposed to the broader network, or worse, the internet. Lock that door with MFA, shove it onto a dedicated VLAN, and monitor the heck out of it. Attackers love unused but forgotten HTTPS listeners. Finally, log everything and actually look at the logs. Storage is cheap, breaches are not. Forward those logs to your SIEM, alert on weird spikes, and keep at least 12 months for audit and forensics. If a regulator calls, you want to show them a timeline, not shrug. Before we wrap, a strong perimeter firewall blocks the low-hanging fruit, drive-by scans, commodity exploits, so your identity and micro-segmentation layers can focus on nuanced decisions. Defense in depth isn't redundant, it's resilient. So, action items. When this video ends, schedule a 2-hour block this week. Pull your latest rule export. Read it line by line. Ask those 3 questions of every rule. Who, where, why. Sunset anything you can't defend. Turn on rule expiration. Enable TLS inspection with sensible exclusions. And for goodness sake, back up the config before the next firmware upgrade. If this deep dive helped tighten your edge, hit that like button, subscribe for more no-nonsense security talk, and drop a comment below. What's the strangest firewall rule you've ever uncovered? I'd love to hear your war stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and, most importantly, keep it secure. Chris, signing off.